In our series on biology, we've been looking at blood, which is very interesting and is one of the tissue types inside of the connective tissue type. It also makes up the circulatory system, which is one of the systems in the body. Now we're going to be looking at nerve cells, which is, of course, nervous tissue and makes up many of the different systems in our body. For example, you've probably heard of the central nervous system, and that is one of the 8 divisions of nervous type tissue in our body. The others are the peripheral nervous system, which is the nerves that go to and from the central nervous system. The sensory division, which is nerves that go to the central nervous system. The motor division, which is nerves from the central nervous system, specifically to muscles and glands. The autonomic nervous system, which is involuntary muscles, and the somatic nervous system, which is voluntary muscles. The last two deal with fight or flight, which is the sympathetic division, and the parasympathetic division deals with housekeeping issues inside of the body. So those are the 8 divisions that you may have heard of some of them, and they're all interconnected with one another, as you can see in the flowchart. Now, most people know something about the nervous system just from previous experience. When we hit our thumb with a hammer, we know that that hurts, and that's because of nerves in our thumb sending signal to our brain. We also know a lot about nerves, unfortunately, due to the diseases that affect our nerves and our nervous system. For example, in this set of lectures, we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's disease. Now, there are many other diseases we could talk about. For example, Lou Gehrig's disease, also called ALS, which is degeneration of some of the motor neurons. There's also neurotoxins when you're bitten by a cobra or a black widow. It's affecting your nerves. There are neurological drugs, many which are common today, that affect how your brain processes signals, and on the list goes. So we are very familiar with how important nerves are and the nervous systems in our body to our daily life. Even spinal cord injuries have taught us a lot about how nerves work, how they're regenerated. Everybody knows that if you break your neck in the wrong way, you can become paralyzed from the neck down, and that just shows how the nerves travel from our brain to the rest of the body. Other techniques such as acupuncture may stimulate nerves in ways that release tension in other parts of our body. We know that nerves can be blocked with drugs. Anytime you go to the dentist and get an injection before they start drilling in your teeth, you know that they're numbing the nerves that would sense normally the pain of drilling. That happens when the dentist injects a drug that blocks those nerves. And unfortunately, nerves can also be killed by certain things, as we're going to learn about today with Alzheimer's. They can be killed by little plaques of protein that build up. What else do you know about nerves? Take a little time to think about what you already know about this amazing system of nerves in your body. Well, a little story is about Alzheimer's and unfortunately how it destroys the nerves and neurons in our brain. Proteins that are meant in the nerve cells to act as little UPS barcodes to send a package from here to there, just like in FedEx or UPS. They unfortunately don't do their jobs and instead get tangled up with one another. These tangles don't actually look like crazy tangles of yarn. They look very beautiful and symmetrically arranged, but they're not supposed to be there. And they keep growing and growing and forming plaques that scientists believe are what is part of what's killing the brain. So many of the cures that have been attempted on Alzheimer's are attempts to break up those plaques, or at least to keep more of those plaques from forming. And some of the treatments are also just along the lines of protecting the brain against what happens when those cells die. They release little chemicals into the brain space that can trigger problems for learning, for memory, and so some of the drugs are just to sort of tone down what happens to those chemicals in the brain. So learning about nerves is going to be exciting. We have a few more lectures to learn about them, and this will help round out what you understand about what's going on in your body and the fuller picture of biology in general. If you're going a little deeper, now would be a great time to read the branch, How Do Nerves Regulate homeostasis. As you remember, homeostasis is how the body keeps its normal state, and you can read about how nerves are helpful for that. This leaf also, the branch page also gives you an image that shows how all 8 divisions in the nervous system are connected and interact.